everything! Use his an outrage! You can't let order! I will not tolerate such outbursts in my courtroom. I mean everything! Use his an outrage! You can't let order! I will not tolerate—
The courtroom door hadn't even opened yet, but you could already feel the tension creeping in like cold fog through an open window. People packed every seat. Reporters lined the walls. Cameras flashed from every angle. This wasn't just any trial. This was the trial of Elena Vasquez, billionaire widow, socialite, and now, according to prosecutors, a cold-blooded killer who murdered her way to a fortune. But if you looked at her sitting there in the defendant's chair, you wouldn't think she was capable of hurting a fly. She wore a cream-colored Chanel dress, her silver hair swept perfectly back, diamonds glittering at her ears and throat. Her face carried the kind of elegance that money buys and years of practice perfects. She looked like someone who belonged on a magazine cover, not in an orange jumpsuit. The judge entered, and everyone stood. But Elena didn't move. She just sat there, watching the proceedings with the calm of someone who genuinely believed she would walk out of this courtroom. A free woman, counsel. Please state your names for the record, Judge Morrison said. Prosecutor Diane Reeves. Your Honor, representing the state. Defense counsel Victoria Ashworth. Your Honor. The judge nodded, his eyes moving to the defendant. Mrs. Vasquez, you understand the charges against you? Elena's lips curved into a perfect practice smile. I do, Your Honor, though I wish the record showed that I am innocent of these terrible accusations. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. Even the journalists exchanged glances. This woman had been accused of murdering 3 people, her first husband, her personal assistant, and her second husband, and she sat there like she was at a tea party. Your Honor, Prosecutor Reeves said. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce a key witness. Judge Morrison raised an eyebrow. The prosecution has already presented its case. Who is this witness? A surprise witness, Your Honor, someone who has been hiding in plain sight. The courtroom doors opened and a man walked in. He was 60-ish, gray-haired, wearing an expensive suit that hung slightly loose on his thinner frame. His eyes scanned the courtroom until they landed on Elena, and Elena's face changed. For the first time since this trial began, her composure cracked. Just a flicker, a tightening of the jaw, a flash of something like fear, but it was there. Marcus Harrison, Prosecutor Reeves announced. Business partner of the late Raymond Vasquez and former co-CEO of Vasquez Harrison Industries. Objection, Victoria Ashworth said quickly. Mr. Harrison was not listed as a witness. We haven't had time to prepare for cross-examination. With respect, Your Honor, Reeves said. Mr. Harrison came forward only last night with evidence so critical that delaying its presentation would be an injustice to the victims. Judge Morrison studied the defense attorney, then nodded slowly. The witness will be sworn in. Counsel, you may cross-examine after the prosecution's questioning. Harrison took the stand, his eyes never leaving Elena. It was the kind of gaze that made people uncomfortable, steady, knowing, almost pitying. Mr. Harrison, Reeves began. Can you tell the court about your relationship with Raymond Vasquez? We were partners for 30 years, Harrison said. Friends longer than that. We built that company from nothing. I trusted him with my life. And did you trust his wife? Harrison's jaw tightened. I trusted her as much as I trusted a rattlesnake in my living room. I kept my distance because Raymond loved her, but I always watched her. A gasp fluttered through the gallery. Watched her why? Because she made me uncomfortable, Harrison said simply. She was always too perfect, too calculated. The way she smiled at Raymond in public and barely looked at him in private. The way she touched his wine glass at dinners, making sure it was always full. The way she arranged chance meetings with board members who questioned her spending. Elena's fingers tightened on the railing in front of her. I told Raymond my concerns, Harrison continued. More than once. But he didn't want to hear it. He said I was jealous, that I didn't understand their relationship. So I stopped saying anything. I just watched. And what did you witness? Harrison leaned forward, his voice dropping. I witnessed a woman who was patient, calculating. She waited for Raymond to get sick. She found the best doctors, the best treatments, the best everything. Everyone thought she was the devoted wife. He paused, letting the words sink in. But I was in his hospital room the day before he died, and I saw something I've never told anyone until now. The courtroom leaned forward as one. Raymond was conscious when I arrived, talking even. But when Elena came back from the hallway, where she'd been on the phone for 20 minutes, he suddenly got worse. His breathing became labored. His eyes lost focus. By the time the doctors arrived, he was unconscious. "That's absurd," Elena said, her voice sharp. "My husband was dying of cancer. Were you poisoning him?" Reeves asked. "Objection." Victoria Ashworth shot to her feet. "Speculation? The witness is not a medical expert." "Withdrawn," Reeves said. "Mr. Harrison, did you see Elena Vasquez do anything unusual in that hospital room?" Harrison hesitated. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. "I recorded the conversation." The room exploded. "Order!" Judge Morrison's gavel crashed down. "There will be order in this courtroom." As the chaos subsided, Harrison pressed play, and Elena's voice filled the room, soft, sweet, utterly chilling. "I'm so tired, Raymond. I can't keep pretending anymore. Every day I have to smile for the cameras, hold your hand for the doctors, listen to you talk about the legacy you're leaving behind. Do you know what that's like? To sit beside someone you despise and pretend it's love?" Silence. "You found the documents. You found the accounts. You actually thought you could expose me and walk away. But you can't walk away, Raymond. No one walks away from me." Harrison paused the recording. The rest of the tape is just Elena talking to herself, planning what she would do after Raymond died. How she would control the company, remove the board members, disappear the evidence. Elena sat frozen. Her perfect mask finally shattered. "Mr. Harrison," Reeves said quietly, "why did you wait until now to come forward with this recording?" Harrison's eyes glistened. "Because I was afraid. She had already killed twice that we know of. I had a family, a life. I told myself Raymond wouldn't want me to risk everything." He looked at the jury. "But last week, I found out she was planning to flee the country. Her bags were packed. Her offshore accounts were drained. She was going to escape justice entirely." His voice hardened. "So I came forward, because the only thing worse than dying is letting her win." Asterisk, the courtroom was still reeling from Harrison's testimony when the judge called for a brief recess. But even that 15-minute break couldn't calm the frenzy in the room. Reporters fought for phone signal to file their stories. Jurors whispered among themselves, their faces pale. And Elena Vasquez sat in her chair, staring at nothing. Her earlier confidence completely evaporated when proceedings resumed. Prosecutor Reeves stood with a new gleam in her eye. "Your Honor," the prosecution calls its next witness. The door opened and a woman walked in. She was thin, tired-looking, with the kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying secrets for too long. Her clothes were simple, her hair unwed, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. "Mrs. Sofia Vasquez," Reeves announced. "Widow of Raymond Vasquez." Elena's head snapped up. For the first time since this trial began, she looked genuinely frightened. Sofia took the witness stand, her hands trembling slightly. She clutched a manila folder against her chest like a shield. "Mrs. Vasquez," Reeves said gently, "can you tell the court about your marriage to Raymond?" Sofia's voice was barely above a whisper. "We were married for 12 happy years. He was kind, generous, loving. He made me feel like the most important person in the world." "Did he ever talk to you about his business?" "All the time. He trusted me completely. He told me everything about Vasquez Harrison Industries, the deals, the partnerships, the challenges, everything." "And did he ever mention Elena?" Sofia's composure wavered. "At first, he spoke of her fondly. His new wife, the light of his life. But over time that changed." "How did it change?" "He became secretive, distant. He would jump whenever his phone rang, especially if it was Elena, and he started keeping documents in a safe deposit box that even she didn't know about." Elena shifted in her seat, her jaw tightening. "Mrs. Vasquez, can you explain to the court what happened in the final weeks of Raymond's life?" Sophia took a shaky breath. He called me one night crying. He said he had made a terrible mistake. He said he discovered that Elena had been stealing from the company for years, millions of dollars, hidden across dozens of shell companies. The gallery erupted, and the judge had to call for order. He begged me to help him, Sophia continued. He said he was afraid, not of going to prison, but of what Elena would do to me if he exposed her. He told me she had already hurt people who got in her way. Did he specify who? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. He mentioned Jennifer Walsh, his assistant. She had discovered the embezzlement and was going to go to the police. But she died of a drug overdose before she could testify. And did Raymond believe it was an overdose? Asterisk, he didn't. He said Jennifer had been clean for years. He said Elena had made her look like an addict and arranged for her to die. Elena's attorney stood. Objection, hearsay. Raymond Vasquez is not available for cross-examination. Sustained, the judge said. But the witness may continue with her testimony regarding what she personally witnessed. Sophia nodded, wiping her eyes. The night before Raymond died, he made me promise something. He said that if anything happened to him, I should find the evidence he had hidden. He said it was in his childhood home, the one he bought years ago and never told anyone about. Did you find it? I did. Sophia opened the folder she had been clutching. I found documents, recordings, and the video that Raymond made himself. She pulled out a small device. This is the video Raymond recorded 4 days before his death. He knew he was dying, and he wanted the world to know the truth. The courtroom held its breath as Sophia pressed play. Raymond Vasquez appeared on the screen. He was thinner than anyone remembered, his eyes hollow, his hands trembling. But his voice was steady, the voice of a man who had nothing left to lose. If you're watching this, then Elena found out about it. Or Sophia did. And that means the truth finally has a chance to come out. He paused, gathering himself. My wife, Elena, is not who she claims to be. She never was. Everything I built, everything I thought I was protecting, is built on lies. The video continued for another 20 minutes, and with every word, Elena Vasquez's carefully constructed world crumbled further. When it ended, Sophia looked directly at the defendant. You took everything from me, she said, her voice breaking. My husband, my future, my trust in humanity. And for what? Money, power? A life built on other people's suffering? Elena opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. The prosecutor stood, her expression grave. Your Honor, the prosecution wishes to present evidence regarding the death of Elena's first husband, Thomas Barrett. Judge Morrison nodded slowly. Proceed. A new witness took the stand, a middle-aged man with calloused hands and nervous eyes. Would you state your name for the record? Michael Torres. I worked as a mechanic at Barron's Auto Shop for 15 years. And what happened at that shop in 2012? Torres swallowed hard. A woman came in. She wanted me to disable the brakes on her husband's car. She offered me $10,000 in cash. Did you do it? No, I told her to leave. But she came back a week later with $20,000 and a threat. The courtroom went silent. She said she knew where my daughter went to school. She said accidents happen all the time. She said I should reconsider. Tori's voice cracked. I did what she asked. I'm not proud of it, but I was scared. Objection, Victoria Ashworth said. This witness is admitting to a crime. His testimony should be thrown out. Overruled, the judge said. The witness has admitted to his own culpability. He is testifying under a grant of immunity for his cooperation. Prosecutor Reeves continued. Mr. Torres, can you identify the woman who made these threats? Torres turned and pointed directly at Elena. That's her. That's the woman who killed Thomas Barrett. Elena shot to her feet. That's ridiculous. I've never seen this man in my life. Sit down, the judge ordered, but Torres wasn't finished. She came back after Thomas died. She gave me another $5,000 and told me to forget the whole conversation. She said if I ever talked, she would make sure my daughter paid the price. He broke down, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry, Mr. Barrett. I'm so sorry I listened to her. I should have gone to the police. I should have. He couldn't continue. The prosecutor let him compose himself before continuing. Mr. Torres, did you keep any evidence of these transactions? I kept the money, Torres said. All of it. I couldn't spend it. I couldn't even look at it without feeling sick. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. This is the rest of the cash she gave me. It's been in my closet for 12 years. The envelope was submitted as evidence. The serial numbers matched payments made from Alana's personal account, but the prosecution wasn't done. Your Honor, the prosecution calls its next witness. The door opened and a woman walked in. She was young, early 20s, with haunted eyes and a nervous demeanor. Would you state your name? Sarah Walsh. I was Jennifer Walsh's sister. The courtroom fell silent. Elena's face went pale. Sarah, can you tell the court about your sister? Sarah's voice trembled. Jennifer was the best person I knew. She was kind, smart, funny. She got a job at Vasquez Harrison Industries and was so excited. She said it was her dream job. What happened? She called me one night, crying. She said she found something in the accounting records. Millions of dollars moving through fake companies. She said she was going to report it to Raymond. Did she? She tried. But before she could, she died. Sarah's voice broke. Asterisk. The police said it was a drug overdose. But Jennifer didn't do drugs. She was allergic to most medications. She wouldn't even take aspirin. Can you explain to the court what you found after your sister's death? Sarah pulled out her phone. I went through her apartment after the funeral. I found this. She played a recording. Elena's voice came through the speaker. You found the documents, Jennifer. That was a mistake. You're a smart girl. You know what happens to smart girls who don't stay in their lane. Then another voice. Jennifer's terrified. Please, Mrs. Vasquez, I won't say anything. I swear on my life. That's what they all say, Elena's voice replied. But secrets have a way of coming out. It's so much easier when they don't. The recording ended. Sarah looked at the jury. My sister was murdered because she did the right thing. And this woman, she pointed at Elena, killed her and made it look like an overdose. Elena's composure shattered completely. She began to scream, her voice shrill with panic. That's fake. That's fabricated. She can't prove any of this. Silence the defendant. Judge Morrison ordered Dodd as the bailiff restrained Elena. Prosecutor Reeves turned to face the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you have now heard evidence of 3 deaths. 3 people who all had one thing in common. They stood in Elena Vasquez's way. And one by one, they all died. The prosecution rested its case, and the defense prepared to call their first witness. But something strange happened. Elena stood up. Your Honor, I would like to testify. Victoria Ashworth looked panicked. Mrs. Vasquez, I strongly advise against. I want to testify, Elena repeated. I can't let them destroy me without at least trying to tell my side. The judge studied her carefully. You understand that you will be subject to cross-examination? I understand. Very well. You may take the stand. Elena walked to the witness stand with the remnants of her dignity. The diamonds had been confiscated, the designer clothes replaced by orange, but she still held her head high. Mrs. Vasquez, Victoria began gently, can you explain to the court why you acted the way you did? Elena took a deep breath. I grew up poor. Not just struggling, but genuinely poor. We didn't have enough to eat some nights. I watched my mother work herself to death for minimum wage, while my father drank away what little we had. Her voice softened. I swore I would never be powerless again. I would do whatever it took to never feel that helpless again. Did you love Raymond Vasquez? Elena hesitated. I thought I did. In the beginning. He was kind, successful, attentive. He made me feel like I mattered. What changed? Everything. Elena's voice cracked. The company consumed him. He worked 18-hour days. He forgot I existed unless he needed an arm to hold at a gala. I was a decoration, not a wife. So you started taking money? Asterisk, I started taking what I deserved, Elena said, her voice hardening. I ran that household. I managed his social life. I entertained his clients and smiled for his shareholders. I earned every penny I took, and the people who died. Thomas Barrett, Jennifer Walsh, Raymond. Elena's composure wavered. Thomas was abusive. He beat me regularly. When I tried to leave, he threatened to kill me and my family. I was trapped. Did you arrange for his death? Elena hesitated, and in that silence, everything changed. I was tired, she whispered. Tired of being invisible. Tired of being powerless. When Michael Torres told me he could make it look like an accident, I said yes. And when it was done, I felt free for the first time in my life. The courtroom gasped. And Jennifer Walsh? She was going to destroy everything I built. I couldn't let her do that. I just wanted her to be quiet, to disappear. But she wouldn't stop pushing, and Elena broke off, covering her face with her hands. And Raymond? Prosecutor Reeves asked, standing. Did you murder your husband too? No, Elena said, looking up. I loved Raymond. I never wanted him to die. Then explain the recording. Explain the evidence that you were poisoning him. Elena's eyes filled with tears. He was going to expose me. He found the documents, the records, everything. He said he was going to the FBI. I couldn't let him do that. What did you do? Asterisk, I made his medication faster. The doctor said he had weeks left. I made it days. The courtroom went silent. Did you watch him die? Elena nodded, tears streaming down her face. I held his hand. I told him I was sorry. And I meant it. Victoria Ashworth sat down, her face pale. She had no more questions. Prosecutor Reeves approached the stand one final time. Mrs. Vasquez, in your entire confession, have you shown any remorse for the lives you destroyed? Any real genuine sorrow for the people you murdered? Asterisk Elena looked at her, and for the first time, something genuine flickered in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. Not because I'm caught. Not because I'm facing prison. I'm sorry because I finally see what I became. She turned to face the jury. I was a monster, and I'm so sorry. The final day of the trial arrived with an air of finality that settled over the courtroom like a heavy blanket. Every seat was filled. Every camera was rolling. And in the defendant's chair, Elena Vasquez sat smaller than she had ever looked. The jury filed in, their faces unreadable. The foreperson stood, a woman with steady eyes and a weight on her shoulders that only she could understand. Have you reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. The paper trembled slightly in her hands as she unfolded it. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Thomas Barrett, we the jury find the defendant, Elena Vasquez, guilty. Elena closed her eyes, a single tear slipping down her cheek. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Jennifer Walsh, we the jury find the defendant, Elena Vasquez, guilty. The gallery remained silent, the weight of each word settling into their bones. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Raymond Vasquez, we the jury find the defendant, Elena Vasquez, guilty. The room erupted. Cheering from those who had lost loved ones. Shouts from Alana's supporters. The flash of cameras capturing history. Order! Judge Morrison demanded, his gavel striking wood repeatedly. There will be order in this court. When the chaos finally subsided, the judge removed his glasses, a rare gesture of emotion crossing his face. Elena Vasquez, you have been found guilty of the murders of 3 innocent people. The evidence against you was overwhelming. Your own confessions, your own actions, your own words on tape. He paused, letting the weight settle. Before I pass sentence, do you wish to make a final statement? Elena stood slowly, her chains clinking softly. She looked out at the courtroom, at the reporters, at the jury, at the family she had tried so hard to destroy. I do, she said, her voice steady despite everything. I wanted to say I'm sorry. A ripple of surprise passed through the gallery. Not because it will change anything. Not because it will bring back the people I hurt. But because the one thing I never gave anyone, including myself, was the truth. She turned to face Sophia directly. Sophia, I'm sorry. Not for the money or the property. Those were just things. I am sorry for taking Raymond from you, for destroying the life you should have had, for making you fight a battle you never should have had to fight. Sophia sat motionless, her expression unreadable. I told myself lies for years, Elena continued. I told myself that Raymond didn't love me, that the company was mine by right, that everyone I hurt deserved what they got. But the truth I finally had to face is that I was empty inside. I didn't know how to love, how to connect, how to be real with anyone. So I took what I couldn't earn. I hurt people because I didn't know how to be kind. Her voice broke slightly, and now I have to live with that. For the rest of my life, in a small cell, I will have nothing to do but face the person I really am. And that punishment, more than any the court can give, is the only one I deserve. She turned back to face the judge. I accept whatever sentence you impose. Your Honor, I only ask one thing. What is that? That you take everything I stole and return it to the people I stole it from. Give the company back to the employees who built it. Give Raymond's legacy back to his family. Let what's left of my fortune fund scholarships for young women who might have ended up like me if someone had shown them another way. The judge studied her for a long moment. Your statement is noted. He shuffled his papers, preparing to deliver the final judgment. Elena Vasquez, for the murders of Thomas Barrett, Jennifer Walsh, and Raymond Vasquez, I sentence you to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. Elena nodded, accepting the verdict as though she had expected nothing less. As an additional measure, the judge continued, all assets belonging to the defendant will be seized and distributed according to the terms of Raymond Vasquez's updated will, which has now been authenticated. Sophia rose slowly, her face wet with tears, not tears of joy, but of something more complicated. The end of a long journey, the closure of a wound that would never fully heal. As Elena was led away in chains, she paused at the door of the courtroom and looked back one last time. Sophia, she called softly. For what it's worth, Raymond talked about you at the end. He said you were the best thing that ever happened to him. Sophia's breath caught. He said he was sorry he didn't leave you sooner. He said he should have seen the truth earlier. He said he loved you. He always loved you. Then she was gone, led away into the corridor that led to her final destination. The courtroom slowly emptied, but Sophia remained seated, the weight of Elena's words settling into her heart like stones dropped into still water. Harrison approached her gently. Are you okay? Sophia thought for a long moment before answering. I don't know. I thought I would feel vindicated, happy even, but all I feel is tired. That's understandable, Harrison said. You've been fighting for so long. I have, Sophia agreed. But now it's over. She's gone. Raymond is gone. And I have to figure out what comes next. She stood, gathering her things, her movement slow and deliberate. What are you going to do with the company? Harrison asked. Sophia smiled slightly. I'm going to run it. Raymond would have wanted that. And I'm going to make sure everyone who built it gets what they deserve. And Elena's request about scholarships? Sophia paused at the door. I'll think about it. Maybe some good can come from all of this. Maybe someone else can be saved from becoming like her. She walked out into the sunlight, leaving behind the courtroom, the memories, and the woman who had tried so hard to destroy everything she loved. Behind her, the truth finally rested where it belonged, in the light for all the world to see.